Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everything in between, to the Racetech V8 ESC Sprint Series, rounds 10, 11, and 12, live from Australia and the lovely Phillip Island circuit. Um, I am Clyde Whiting, and in the booth with me tonight is the venerable Bill Switzer.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Clyde. Welcome to Victoria, Australia, to the Phillip Island course. We finally got home for the Australian car and on an Australian track, so this ought to be very interesting in our night of sprint series here.
Yeah, certainly will. And obviously, as usual, doing the cameras for us, it's our very own V8 Stig, Mr. Samuel Boozin. So, tonight, Bill, three 15-minute sprint races. Are they 15 minutes or 20 minutes? I can't remember, even though I set them up.
Well,
They're actually 20-minute sprint races. Sorry about that. So we're currently in the 10-minute qualifying session. Race one will be coming up straight after that. Then after a short break, we will have a full reverse grid for race two. A short break after that, and then a full reverse grid for race three. So, Bill, what do you think is going to happen tonight?
well, right at the moment, unfortunately, the XVR guys are missing. I guess Johnny's still fishing or whatever, but I gotta believe that we've got Tony Klusterman or Chris Jackson to contend with. Of course, we do have one new dark horse here, Marco Nurmela, who's a new driver with us, and he's from Finland. And as we know, all Finland drivers are very fast, so we'll see how that goes. But I am possibly George McClay. But other than that, it's going to be a fight down the line a little bit. So we'll have to see what happens. What do you think, Clyde?
Yeah, well, going back to the times that we've raced here before, I seem to remember Chris Jackson has got at least 2 wins at Phillip Island. Um, do you bet against Chris? He obviously knows this track well. It suits his driving style. He's got some stiff competition out there, albeit, as you say, Johnny's away fishing. There's no sign of Nicole yet. But, he's still up against his teammate Tony. George McClay is quick. Like you say, our new Finnish driver Marco looks very quick. Gary Croft is also a dark horse. So, yeah, I think it's certainly going to be... if Chris is going to win, it's going to be a hard-fought win in any of the three races.
Absolutely, for sure. You always hate to pick the guys that win a lot of times, and as we know, being competitors ourselves, anything can really happen out there. I certainly have been very surprised and happy that several people so far in this series have won that we never expected to win. Not expected to, but surprisingly they put on their big boy pants and really performed well. So, as we know, anything can happen out here.
Yeah, that's very true. But just going back to Chris, there seems to be something with this circuit and the way Chris drives that just seems to suit him. So I presume he's going to be looking to get as far up the grid in qualifying, and being a sprint race, you've only got 20 minutes to get past. Try and get into the lead, pull a gap. And then, as we've seen before in this series, races 2 and 3 are a lottery. It really depends on how many cars are in the race and how well and how lucky you are getting through the traffic as to whether you score big points in all three races or not.
Very definitely. In a full reverse grid, it can be very difficult without problems in front of you, and that that's a possibility to get new winners, which of course we enjoy very much. So we'll have to see what happens tonight. Right now, Marco Normella, our new man from Finland, is the top qualifier at this point with a little under 4 minutes remaining in the qualifying session.
Yeah, he certainly is. And talking of new drivers, well, a new old driver, we have Jez Coleman returning to the V8 Supercars tonight as well. So welcome back, Jez. We've got, a lot of our usual drivers from the main series. I know a lot of them use this series as practice, fine tuning those race sets and that sort of thing. But it is nice to see that new drivers are coming in every week since we've started this season. Hopefully they stick around, they enjoy what we do, they enjoy the racing with us, and the league goes from strength to strength.
For sure. I know it kind of sounds self-serving because I am one, but this is the best league in the whole deal. I'll tell you, you couldn't find a better bunch of guys, and no real hard feelings. Yeah, we have our differences from time to time, but we settle them pretty quickly, and we're over it. So it's an adult series, no doubt about it. Even though we have some young guys in here, but we, the ones that have been here for a while, we know what it is, and that's why we're still here. And hopefully, some of the new guys, I'm glad to see, like Adam Delmont is back. I know Adam does some other racing. But he is showing up again, and he's got the easiest name to pronounce of some of the people that have come in. So we're happy to have him.
Yeah, and just touching on that subject, obviously since our season started, can't remember how long ago, 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago. I've personally had a lot of messages on our Discord from some of the new drivers that have come into the series this year, just saying, they can't believe how friendly it is and how everybody helps everybody and shares setups and things like that. I presume that's a big draw for the league, especially for the slower drivers to, get some help. I know Mr. Hoffman has been getting some help from Mike T and hopefully improving his driving skills. So, the help is there. Just hope people use it.
Yep, being a slow guy, I can tell you that anybody here is willing to help you. It's just totally amazing. I mean, you almost wondering what's the catch. When's the bomb going to drop or whatever, and it doesn't happen. They're just being friendly. They're being adult. And giving you a hand when they can, and there's nothing better.
Yeah, that's very true. So we got a minute left in qualifying, and the Flying Finn, as I'm going to call him, is still on pole, with Tony Kloosterman trying his hardest to grab that off him. Chris Jackson surprisingly down in fourth at the moment, Bill.
Yeah, it's kind of a surprise too. I don't know. Lately, Chris hasn't been able to practice too much, so I understand. But sometimes practice can be overrated. Some people, think you can practice too much. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm sure Chris will be a contender here. As I said, like you had mentioned it before, he does very well here, and like you said, it must be something about the Australian air or something. He just does very well here. So it remains to be seen. He's still up and probably be up in the first couple rows, and they're still going to have to look out for him.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that the more practice I do, the slower I get, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I guess that's why I'm so slow, because I practice a lot, but it doesn't really help me at all.
Okay, so we're into the final pickings of our qualifying session now, with Marco still on pole. So, that's a fantastic feat for his first outing. Admittedly, there's not that many cars here tonight, so it'll be certainly different in the main series next season. But still, he's only just got the car. I believe he's done hundreds of laps of practice this week, from the conversations I've had with him. But he's up there, and I think a few of the fast guys are going to sort of, look over their shoulder and go, whoa, who's this guy?
Well, it'll be fun to see how some of our faster guys interact with him out on the race course. That ought to be very interesting.
Yeah, my only concern is I know it's not an easy feat, but putting the car around the track for one quick lap is certainly different from putting it around the track for 20 minutes. So let's see how Marco gets on in the race.
You are definitely correct about that. Okay, let's see who else we got. Gary Croft's turned in a pretty good time. He's not that far behind. And of course, our dark horse Harold Stadler's doing very well. Greg Carr, not bad. And Delmont's right up there. They're all pretty close within a second, so it'll be interesting.
Certainly will, with qualifying over. So, well done to Marco for his first pole position in the series.
We may have to give that boy some ballast if he keeps that stuff up.
So we just wait now for our starting order.
We have let's see, 4 or 5 guys that didn't qualify. I hope they're still with us out there someplace.
Okay, so starting on pole is our new driver Marco Namella, Tony Kloosterman in second position, and George McClay in third. We then have Chris Jackson in fourth, Gary Croft in fifth, Harold Stadler in sixth, Greg Carr in seventh, Adam Delmont in eighth, Ronald Moons in ninth, Greg Branch in 10th, and Jez Coleman in 11th. And then we'll wait and see whether we get a grid from Dave Jansen, Ollie Christian Anneberg, Ben Gillet, Andrew Hoffman, who I know has got rig problems and is probably still screwing it all together now, and Mike Frost back in the car as well. Let's hope Mike has a good race.
Both Mike Frost and Greg Branch are here. That's good to see.
Okay, so cars are gridding. Waiting for the lights. Somebody put 50p in the meter. Engine revs drive. And we're green. So Tony has managed to get past Marco straight away off the line.
Looks like George is in third.
I wonder if that was Marco's first ever race start in this car.
Could be. More than likely.
So we have George McClay clinging on to the back of Marco, although there is a slight gap. Tony and Marco pulling away from George.
Gary Croft and Greg Carr close together.
Yeah, then closely followed by Harold Stadler in fifth. And Adam Delmont up one place, I believe, in sixth. Okay, we believe Greg Branch has gone across the grass somewhere.
Yeah. He's re-entered, coming toward the front straightaway. Toward the Gardner Straight. Here he comes now. I don't know if he had any help or not.
Yeah, no, I didn't see it. Although this backpack, I know it's early days, but you know it's very close. I think he might even have had help from his teammate there.
Wow. I've lost Chris Jackson. Do you have any idea what's happened to him?
No, looks like Greg locked up on the brakes and speared himself off left, so it wasn't
Okay.
anything to do with his team. Yeah, no Chris Jackson. So there was no Chris Jackson on the grid. So perhaps we just put too much pressure on him before the race, Bill.
And I see Andrew Hoffman out there, Greg Branch, or somebody. I don't know if it's Greg or Michael chasing him down. Michael, yeah, Mike Frost.
Yeah, Andrew made it to the grid, which is good to see. He did send me a message that a motor had gone on his rig, so looks like he got that swapped out. So back up the front, we've still got Tony Kloosterman leading the way, but he's not. He's pulled nearly a second on Marco, but you know he's certainly not screaming away like a seasoned veteran you would think would get away. And Marco's actually leaving George behind, so you know he's doing well at the moment.
Good. Also, the PSR boys, they're running in formation here. Dave Jansen and Ben Gillet in, were they 8th and 9th position?
Just having a look towards the back of the pack. Things are still close.
Nice little battle going with Harold Stadler, Greg Carr, and Adam Dilma. That's your 6th, 7th, and 8th position. Nope, sorry.
Yeah,
5th, 6th, and 7th.
7th. Yeah. Bill, yeah, the closest battle we've got on track at the moment. We'll go on board with Adam for a lap, just see if he manages to deal with Greg and then Harold. Two Fords ganging up on a Holden. Sure, if Mr. Barbonaire will be watching this, he'll be very pleased. Don't know how Adam's got his car set up, but it seems really twitchy on the brakes. He's doing a lot of left turns on the steering wheel to go right and a lot of right turns on the steering wheel to go left.
Yeah, it's almost like you're riding in a sprint car.
Greg's got a new tactic now of just getting onto the dirt slightly, just so that Adam doesn't know where he's going.
Yeah, it looked like he was throwing rocks at him there for a minute.
Harold is driving the world's widest Holden at the moment.
And George McClay has seemed to close up a little bit on Marco in third place onto Marco in second.
Yeah, he's got the gap down to under a second now, and Tony seems to be stretching his lead a bit. He's out over a second and a half now.
I'm sure he doesn't mind if they fight it out behind him.
Trying to work out whether Dave and Ben are just running in formation, or whether Ben has got the pace to put a challenge on Dave. As Ronald Moons is closing in on the two PSR teammates at the moment.
Yes,
Mr.
he
Racing
is.
in stocks. And George is down to under half a second now from Marco.
Sorry, Harold.
Yeah, Gary Croft has gone off track, slipped down from fourth to, I believe he's now in seventh. Let me just wind my screen back and see what happened. So, Gary, what are you going to do? Oh, yes. Gary outbraked himself into the sort of hairpin, and then a bit of a unsafe rejoin into the side of Harold. So, yeah, not good from Gary, but, Gary's usually one of the safest drivers out there. So I'm sure Harold will accept the apology. His car doesn't seem to be too bad, and he's gained a position, and he's still in front of the two Fords.
Gary's got some damage on the right front as well.
Yeah, Gary's losing time on those three battle-ins, so he could be suffering at the moment with about 10 minutes left to go. And I think whilst I was watching that, I missed Marco losing out to George. Yeah, George is definitely in front and stretching away. I don't know whether Marco has pushed too hard and has burnt his tyres up a bit, or whether his setup just concentrated on one lap speed and it's not very good on a run.
Marco Numella's vehicle coming through Lukey Valley just then was a little bit squirrely, so you might be right about the tires, Clyde.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if Harold can take any time out of him. I think it's about 5 seconds between them at the moment, so it'd be interesting to see whether Harold starts closing in as well, and then drags Greg and Adam with him, and we could have a four-way battle. Also interesting to see if George has got anything for Tony.
Yeah, he's was he about 2.5 seconds behind, isn't he?
Yeah, just over 2.5 seconds. And George is pushing hard. He's locking up into all the heavy braking zones.
I don't think I ever remember George taking it easy. How about you, Clyde?
No, George doesn't take it easy, whether it's racing, practice, qualifying. Greg
No
Grant
kidding.
is in the pits. So this battle for fourth is still raging on. We got Harold, followed by Greg, followed by Adam. They seem to be dropping Gary Croft and his damage at the moment.
Greg's dropping to the inside.
Yeah, that's a brave move, that is, around the inside. You carry so much more speed around the outside, and then obviously you've got the inside for the next corner.
Adam's going to get him on the inside here. Greg's holding tough. All right, get your cameras ready, folks. This could be interesting.
Ooh, slide from Adam, but he's held it.
Whoa!
Oh, Greg. I think Greg just got on the loud pedal a fraction too early there.
They didn't come together, did they, by any chance?
No, I didn't see any contact at all. I think it looked to me as if they both braked as late as they possibly could. Adam went a bit wide in the corner, and Greg got on the power too early and just lost the rear end.
Too bad.
But with Greg out of the way, it'd be interesting now to see if Adam can do anything about Harold and his world record wide holder.
Yep, I have to say.
And this is obviously playing into Marco's hand as well. So, you know, although he qualified on pole and he led a lap or two, he might still end up with the podium.
Yeah, very possibly. Harold Sadler's moving along pretty well with a damaged vehicle.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? The damage model. I know there's a lot of hype going about of the new damage model, but you know, sometimes you can have big collisions on iRacing and your car just isn't affected. And then sometimes, you know, the slightest scrape and your steering wheel's at 90 degrees, you've got the meatball flag. It's a bit unpredictable sometimes.
I believe Ben Gillet just went off course just before the tight 90 right-hand turn there.
Yeah, he seems to have dropped 2 seconds to Dave now. So we've got about 3 minutes of racing left.
Looks like Adam's closing in on Harold Stadler. Adam Delmont, that is.
Yeah, he's got a good slipstream down the start-finish straight. Is he going to throw one up the inside? It looks like. But again, you know, that outside line around that corner is just so much faster.
Yeah, coming down the inside there, if you can't use the whole road, you really have to get out of it.
So the answer to can George do anything about Tony is no. Tony's stretched out to nearly 4 seconds now. The answer to can Harold do anything about Marco looks like a no. I think Harold is spending more time looking backwards and forwards at the moment, which is, as we said, playing into Marco's hands.
I would say so.
Dave Jensen is closing in on Gary Croft. Whether that's got something to do with Gary's damage or not. Although Dave might run out of time. Adam is really pushing it. He's drifting every corner at the moment.
He's doing great. He's doing amazingly well. I think you're right, Clyde. I believe Harold's going to get the world's record for the widest holding.
Yeah, he's putting his car in all the right places. This isn't an easy track to overtake on because, you know, a left turns into a right, turns into a left, turns into a right. So, you know, it's if you put your car in the right place, it's very, very difficult to get past.
That's very true. And it's even more difficult when you're driving a car that doesn't have super wide tires and about as aerodynamic as a brick to try to get around somebody on the wrong side.
Yeah, and every time you are late on the brakes, early on the throttle, steering left or right, the car wants to kill you. So that doesn't help either.
Nope.
I think he's quite close enough on this lap.
He's one, and he changed his mind there a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, I believe this could be the final lap as well.
Okay, I heard Sam say one more. Oh, Tony must have passed it before 20. Okay. Well, that's a great battle between those two guys. Harold and Andy, sorry. Adam, not Andy.
Yeah, again, you know, Adam was going to try to switch back there, and Harold just hugged the apex, and there was nothing Adam could do.
This could be a good. He's a little too far away now. I was gonna say this could be a good spot for him up here at Lukey Hill or whatever it's called.
Heights, is it?
Lukey Heights. That's right. That's right. That's right.
I'm terrible with corner names and things like that.
Ew. I looked at it for an hour and I still can't remember it.
He's closer this time.
He might have a chance.
He's got in this time. I think he got the perfect exit out of that final corner, which gave him the draft down the straight.
Nicely done, Adam.
Yeah, very, very good pass, very clean. Harold must be kicking himself for defending for that long just to let it go on the last lap.
Well, both drivers very courteous too. That could have been a fender bender. As you say, Harold held on for a long time, did a magnificent job.
Yeah, he certainly did, especially, you know, considering he's got damage on his car as well. We don't know what that's done to the handling or the speed or anything like that on the car. So, you know, I'm sure Harold will still be happy with a fourth place. And, ooh, Dave Jansen is all over the back of Gary Croft on this last lap as well.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
Gary just held on there.
Yeah, it was close.
Good race there, Ronald. That was fun.
And Michael Frost comes across the line, and that's everybody finished. So, a win for Tony Kloosterman in race one. Podium for George McLean second, and podium, congratulations, Marco Namella. First race out, third place on the podium. I'm sure he's going to be happy about that.
Yep, and coming home fourth was Adam Delmont. Fifth was Harold Stadler. Sixth, Gary Croft, just by a nose over Dave Jansen in seventh. Greg Carr in eighth. Ben Gillet in ninth. Ronald Moon's 10th. Andrew Hoffman in 11th. Jess Coleman in 12th. Ollie Christian Uneberg in 13th. And Michael Frost in 14th. And not finishing was Greg Branch, and we lost Chris Jackson for some reason. We'll have to find out what happened there. So that's your finishing order for Sprint 1.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happened with Chris. Like I say, I know he likes this track, so whether it was just the commentary team putting too much pressure on him, or whether he's had a hardware issue, or even a family issue, we'll have to wait and see. I'm sure we'll find out and let everybody know at some point.
For sure.
But a fairly dominant win from Tony. Obviously getting past Marco off the line. And then running away with it. But, race two, full reverse. We're going to have, who are we going to have on pole? We're going to have Greg Branch on pole. So we'll have to wait and see whether these fast guys can get through the traffic and see what our flying Finn is like getting through the traffic as well.
Well, I can tell you, being a professional Finn driver like they all are, I'll bet he went to school on that start. What do you think, Clyde?
Yeah, I did in the back end of the qualifying session. I was focusing on his car, and he was doing some pit lane starts, but you know, start pit lane start and starting on the grid. It could be different tarmac, it could be different temperatures. I haven't actually gone back and looked at the start properly, whether he just got too much wheel spin, got bogged down, or whether Tony just had one of those starts that you get every now and again where it doesn't matter where you are on the grid, you're going to end up in first place at turn one. We'll find out.
Yeah, and of course with Tony, it's not his first rodeo. He's been through many of these and successfully, so he generally knows what he's doing. So we'll see how it goes.
Okay, so we'll now go for a short break. Be sure to join us for Reverse Grid Race 2 coming up in a few minutes. Australia, and the wonderful, just shy of 2.8 mile Phillip Island circuit. With me again, and I'm going to change Sam's name to Ted, just so that I can say, with me tonight are Bill and Ted. Young people, just Google that. Bill, we have our first full reverse grid. Um, Obviously, the guys finishing first, second, and third will be starting last, second, last, and third last. A track that's difficult to overtake. A track that our morning race saw a track temperature of 64 degrees, which has now risen in the afternoon session to 104 degrees, which will make it a little bit more slippery. Um, how do how are these guys going to get through this traffic in a fairly short 20-minute race?
Well, if the gentlemen don't get too nervous that are up front on this start, if they can hang in there and have a nice clean race, and it's going to be very difficult. And like you said, the track is slippery in spots to begin with, and with it being 100 and whatever you said 4 degrees now, it's going to be even more difficult. So it ought to be really exciting, and we'll definitely see some racecraft from the likes of the three people that finished on the podium. So it's going to be one barn burner.
Yeah, I have a feeling that I don't know what you can really do to the setup to negate a 40-degree Fahrenheit track temperature change. I don't know, maybe softening up the dampers, maybe changing the tyre pressures, but the cars are not going to handle as well as they handled in race one. And some people were having, grip issues in race one. So, I'm hoping it's going to be a clean race, but there's going to be cars sliding about. The fast guys, I think, are probably going to have to. It's going to be that risk or reward thing again. Do you stick your nose in where it's not wanted and hope that the other driver's paying attention? If they're not, it's race over. If they are, it's another place gained, and you're after the next one.
Most definitely, I think you hit on all the things. Basically, other than tire pressure and damper, there's not a heck of a lot you can do. Of course, I think you have to drive a little differently. Like you mentioned, it's going to be a lot of slipping and sliding. And, I think the guys in the back that want to get in the front, when they try to perform a pass or an overtake, they're going to have to be a little more careful than they normally are because, like you said, there's going to be a lot of slipping and sliding.
Yeah, I have a feeling the mid pack starters, if they're clever, um, the fast guys coming through are going to burn their tires up. 104-degree track temperature. Um, if you're starting somewhere in the middle and you can just have a steady first half of the race, save your tires for when everybody else is falling off towards the end of the race. We may, I say, have another new winner tonight.
Very good possibility of that. I totally agree with you. Like I said before, if they can use a little common sense up front, then the guys that are going to be up front run a little smooth and clean and not get in any trouble. It's going to be difficult, like you said, in that short a period of time in these conditions for the guys in the back to get all the way up. They might maybe reach the podium, but it's going to take a really great drive to get up front.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I think anyone that started anybody who finished in the top three of the last race, even though there's not a lot of cars to get past, it is a difficult track to pass on. So I echo what you say, Bill. It's if any of them three can get on the podium again, it is it's going to take a hell of a drive.
For sure, absolutely for sure. And
Okay, go on, Bill. Sorry.
as you mentioned too, I agree with you. I forgot to mention. I agree with you totally about the middle packers. Really, I think have the best chance of being the winner.
Yeah, and there are some fast drivers in that little mid division in the middle of the table there. So, as we wait for the cars to grid, we'll run through the starting order. So we're going to have, presuming everybody starts on the grid, Greg Branch on pole, followed by Michael Frost and Ollie Christian Unneberg. Jez Coleman, then Andrew Hoffman, Ronald Moons, Mr. Racing in Socks, and Ben Gillet. Greg Carr and Dave Jansen, Gary Croft and wide boy Harold Stadler, then Adam Delmont, Marco Numella, George McClay, and starting last will be Mr. Tony Kloosterman. And they're off for race 2. On drag down to turn 1. Bit of a 3 wide at the back. Oh, bit of contact in the middle there. I think it's one of the PSR guys that's on the grass. It is. It's Ben Gillet. More contact in the middle. That was Andrew Hoffman and somebody.
Ronald Moons was involved, and Ollie Christian.
And somebody just ran wide there as well. That was Dave Jansen. So the slow motion guys are running away with it at the moment. Come on, guys. A lot of action towards the back of the grid. A lot of cars sliding about.
Well, Greg Branch is still in the lead, followed by, who is it, Michael Frost. And in third, here comes Harold Stadler, closing in on Michael Frost.
Great battle going on between, I believe it's Greg Carr and George McClay. Andrew Hoffman's car looks distinctly second-hand.
Tony Kloosterman has moved up to 5th after 1 lap.
Yeah, and it looks like Marco's following him as well because he's in 6th.
Yes, he is. Tony's paint on the passenger side of the car, which is the left side, is looks like it's scraped off. Looks like he had a side to side with something.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of door banging leading into turn 1 on that stuff.
Okay.
Mike Frost has dropped down the order. So going on to lap 3, we've got Greg Branch still leading. Harold Stadler's up to 2nd. Tony Kloosterman in 3rd.
Harold's on the inside.
Miller in 4th.
Greg, I believe, is off. Nope, he's on the outside. And Harold Stadler has moved into the lead. Tony Kloosterman is now closing in on Greg, coming into Honda corner. Looks like he's going to get him on the inside. He's got him.
Yeah, Greg's all over the place. I don't know if he's cooked his tie. Oh, Greg, that was a dodgy rejoin there.
All right, presently 1, 2, 3 is Harold Stadler, Tony Klusterman, and Marco Numella.
Yeah, Ben's off as well. Looks like he's parked it. So after explaining to everybody, you know, how difficult it was to be, you know, to get through, that one's gone right out of the window. And funny enough, just looking at Harold's car, he seems to have the exact same damage that he had in race 1. So it looks like real life racing. They didn't get it repaired during the break. Harold, you need to buy your team a bigger hammer. I'll have a word with Sam.
Marco's on the back of Tony Klusterman big time.
Yeah, it could be a good battle between these three.
For sure.
Tony's obviously not backwards at coming forwards. Marco's looking to not get revenge in a nasty way, but pay Tony back for what happened in race 1. And, you know, we all know how wide Harold's car is, even though Tony's trying to push the par.
Tony did everything but hit Harold Stadler on that corner, that last corner. Wow.
Apologies, everybody, for not looking further down the field, but this is going to be one hell of a battle, this. And we've got, you know, the best part of 15 minutes to go as well.
Looks like Tony's setting up Harold for a pass. I got to see here.
Yeah, Tony's feeling Adam's pain from race 1 at the moment. Oh, and
whoa, Marco on the inside.
Oh, Tony tried the inside of Harold. These three could finish in this order, finish in any order, or all take each other out. And the more they battle, the closer it's going to bring George to him, because he's under a second away from this battle.
I was just going to mention that George McClay is closing in with all this battling going on. Oh, Tony's on the inside. Uh-oh.
Oh, that was...
I don't know. I don't know. Looked like Tony closed in on him a little too soon. I don't think Harold drove into him.
What my first instinct was racing incident.
Definitely.
I will wind it back at my end and have a look.
Marco's really pushing Harold Stadler now with George McClay right behind in third.
Yeah, that's racing incident all day. They've met in the middle of the track. There's room to Harold's left and there's room to Tony's right. Marco's got him here. Marco's going to take the lead. He's got that preferred line for the next corner. And Harold slots in behind. And Tony's got plenty of time to come back into this battle as well.
Absolutely. George, by on the inside. Maybe not. Marco's fighting back.
No grip out there, Harold.
Well, that was Harold. I'm sorry.
See if Marco can give Harold a taste of his own medicine here and make his Holden really wide.
Tony's right back in the mix behind George.
Yeah, Tony's closing up so much ground under braking. And I think George is being very careful here. He can see that there's a tight battle between his teammate in front and Marco. One little slip up from them two, and George will take both of them, but he's not forcing the issue yet.
Nope, and we're only halfway through this race. Little less than 10 minutes to go.
I think as well, George knows that if he starts battling Harold, Marco will pull away. But then George has also got to be wary of an angry Tony Klusterman behind him, who won't think twice about battling both of them. And Greg Carr's in the mix as well, trying to put a move on Tony.
Greg has done an excellent job to close in with this battle.
And Marco's loving it because he's just eking out a lead at the moment.
Yeah, he's walking away a little bit.
That gap was always going to close, Mr. K. Now, if George goes defensive on Tony here, that will give Harold some breathing space to go after Marco, who's now over a second in the lead.
I believe George is doing that right now. I think you're right, Clyde. George was right down on the ripple strip that time.
Yeah, Marco's worrying me. First competitive race, puts it on pole. Gets a rubbish...
Whoa, George.
Oh, George locked it all up there trying to avoid hitting his teammate, and then Greg had to do the same thing trying to avoid Tony. So yeah, just go back to the Marco thing, puts it on pole, gets a rubbish start because he's never done a start before, but finishes third. Second race, he's out in front at the moment with a second lead. By the time this guy's done 3 races, he's going to be winning everything.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Victor Tanaka's going to claim all the credit. So just over a second between Marco and Harold. Half a second between Harold and George, and a couple of tenths between George and Tony.
Well, that little group in 3, 4, and 5 is pretty interesting.
Yeah, Harold's managed to stretch it to over a second now from George, because obviously every time Tony puts pressure on George, George is defending. So I think at the moment you can safely say George is playing the good teammate role.
I totally agree. He's doing a bang-up job, too.
You can see how much they're slipping and sliding coming out of the corners. Track temperature is dropped a little bit now. It's down to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, but it's still a baking hot track.
For sure. Greg Carr's having an excellent drive.
He certainly is, yeah. Greg will most definitely have a go at Tony if he gets a chance.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Tony being the boss man of that team, he'd have it no other way either.
Oh, exactly. Tony's got a bit of damage on the rear end of his car. I don't know whether that's affected him because he doesn't seem to be able to pressure George at the moment the way he was.
He seems to have fallen back just slightly.
And Marco's still pulling away from Harold. That's just over 2 seconds now. And George is closed right up on Harold. So
Nice.
I think George might have thought, you know what? There's a quarter of this race to go. I need to get past my teammate and see if I can go after the leader.
I was just going to say, it looks like he's getting ready to go into second place. We got it locked up going into that corner.
Yeah, and we all know how wide Harold's car is.
George is definitely pushing. Lukey Heights, here they come. George looking. Oh, steady, George. Tony's right back in behind him again.
Yeah, I think at this stage, Harold is probably better off letting George go and then playing rear gunner for it.
Yeah.
You know, the gap out front is, creeping towards 3 seconds now with, 3 and a bit minutes left. The Greg Carr seems to have dropped off the back of Tony as well.
Yeah, he's kind of lost a little bit there. Looks like George was going to go the inside that time.
These guys are using so much opposite lock on these cars now, it's unbelievable. They just had a lap on board with Tony, and the way that these guys are wrestling these cars around at the moment.
Oh yeah.
You can see them twitch out of every corner, twitch over every curb, twitch in the braking zone.
I think George is getting close to try to get a pass on the front straight here.
Yeah, he's in the perfect position.
He looks a little far away, though. There he goes, moving to the inside. Nope. We now know he's definitely thinking about it, Clyde.
He's certainly thinking about it, but I don't think he'll try anything rash with it being his teammate. But if there's a gap, he'll go for it. Whereas I think if Tony gets close enough, if there isn't a hole, he'll make one.
That's a possibility.
Oh, George lost it under brakes. Oh, and he just managed to slide out of the way of his teammate.
That's too bad.
That's just that momentary thing where you brake a little bit later than the car in front of you, and you think, oh shit, I'm going to hit him, and you hit the brakes a bit harder, the rear end locks up, and away you go.
That's it. Anybody that's driven one of these rigs has had that happen a time or two.
Yeah, it nearly happened to Tony there.
Wow.
Greg's going to get a run on him if he's... Okay, folks, last lap, we think. Greg Carr's going for it past Tony. Ooh. Tony was very, very generous there. I think Greg owes Tony a bunch of flowers for that one.
That was an excellent move. Wow.
Yeah, Tony could have kept his foot in there and turned Greg, but it's a teammate and he didn't. Although he tried to.
It was just an easy tap.
And that's brought George back into it with Tony, so this is fantastic. In the meantime, Marco's out front by 4 seconds, and Harold's in second place with his none shall pass stance.
Yeah. Harold's hanging tough in second place. All right, Greg Carr's on the podium. Nice job.
Yeah, that was a great race, that, guys. Congratulations to Marco Namella, second race out, and gets his first ever win in the series. Bit of afters.
What the heck?
Yeah, I don't quite know what happened there. The guys will pick up incident points for that because all the collisions count until the last car passes the line. So
that's true.
It'd be interesting to see if anybody got any penalty points for incidents after the race. But Bill, cracking race up the front. Marco did what he needed to do, and then when everybody else started battling, pulled away. But Harold Stadler, Greg Carr, Tony Kloosterman, George McClay. I was focusing on that battle for the whole race because, as I said in the race, those guys could finish in any order or not finish at all because, they was just on it.
Well, you've said it all. I totally agree. And I feel bad for not covering some of our buddies in the back, but that was an exciting 5-car duel up there in the front, no doubt. I'm sure Marco was thrilled that they were all battling because, as you said, he pulled away and just sailed into the sunset while these other guys were beating each other up. And it was just absolutely excellent. It was exciting. And if anybody didn't like that little battle, something's wrong with you because that was terrific.
Yeah, most definitely. And, obviously, say pretty much apart from Greg, same people up the front. So they're going to have to do it all again in race 3.
Well, hey, we'll see. It might be little different feelings on this one. Maybe a little more pushing. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, yeah, race 3. People just tend to go for it. It's going to be a sunset race, so hopefully the track will cool down and the guys will, find a little bit more grip. But you can see how difficult this track is to overtake. But one way or another, through people making mistakes in front of them, or just getting into gaps where they shouldn't be, these guys are getting back to the front from the back of the grid. Let's see if they can do it again.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Let me read the results, if you don't mind. Marco Numella in first place, our new driver, like you mentioned before, Clyde. Qualified on the pole, got a bum start, still made the podium, and he won by over 4 seconds over Harold Stadler in second. Greg Carr, excellent drive from him in third place. Tony Kloosterman hung tough in fourth. George McClay right in there in fifth. Gary Croft in sixth. Adam Delmont in seventh. Andrew Hoffman finished eighth. Nice job, Andrew. Greg Branch ninth. Ole Christian Uneberg 10th. Michael Frost 11th. Ronald Moons 12th. And Ben Gillet and Dave Jansen, we lost them after 11 or 12 laps. So that's the finishing order of sprint race number 2.
And thanks for that, Bill. So we'll go away for a quick break again, fill the glasses. Join us again in about 20 minutes' time for our final race of the evening, race 3, with another full reverse grid. See you soon. And welcome back, everybody, to Phillip Island Circuit in Australia. Still with me, Clyde Whiting, Bill and Ted. We now have our third and final race of the evening under sunset conditions. So the lights are on the cars. Track temperature has dipped to 67 degrees Fahrenheit the last time I looked. So the guys will be busy tweaking their setups again to maximise that grip that's available, Bill.
Yep, we're back to kind of the way we started, but the twilight is closing in. It ought to be. Unfortunately, some of the people have bailed on us, but we still got a pretty good mix of characters to do this final race for us. It's going to be the same fast guys in the back trying to come through the front, and they may not have as an easy time this time. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, so it's not dark, but it's getting darker. We've got, like you say, the faster guys at the back, the slower guys at the front. Now, we were saying in race 2 that can these guys get up through the pack? Will somebody from the midfield win? And they proved us wrong and basically got up to the front within 2 or 3 laps. Now, obviously, I'd like us to have a new winner tonight. And I do love it when the mid packers and the back packers, like me and you, Bill, do well in these races. But I must say, the fast guys got through to the front in race 2, and they put on a hell of a show for us. So I wouldn't mind if the same thing happened again. How about you?
Absolutely, there was really no disappointment. At first, when they started coming through, I was kind of, getting a little perturbed, but it turned into one whale of a race. It was really excellent. A lot of back and forth action. And other than Marco running away, those next 4 guys, it could have been in any order, and it was really, really interesting.
Yeah, most definitely. And during the break, had a message from Chris Jackson, who I was certainly tipping for at least one race win tonight, but Chris did the practice and then disappeared. Nothing, no issues. It's Chris's son's birthday party, so. Chris's wife Mary kindly let him do an hour's practice, but he had to go back to his dad duties. So we hope the party's going well, Chris, and we hope you're eating plenty of jelly and ice cream.
Yeah, pretty important. Happy birthday, Logan.
So back to this race, Bill. We've got a couple of minutes left in this practice session before we grid and get underway. Kloosterman, McClay, I'll throw Carr in, Namella, Stadler. Same again, surely.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I was pretty impressed with Greg Carr's drive too. He at the end he faded a little bit, but he was right in there battling with those guys and got by Tony. And I'll tell you, very impressive. I think he's got a shot at winning as well.
I was just watching Greg in the practice session, and I think he's just killed a couple of marshals.
Was that him? I noticed that.
Straight into the marshalling post.
Well,
so here's a driver to talk about, Gary Croft. So Gary Croft is somebody that I expected to be right up there. I know for a fact that Gary is putting a hell of a lot of time into this at the moment. It just doesn't seem to be clicking for him tonight, Bill.
Well, I don't know Gary Croft very well, but I can tell you I know his driving, and Gary is a very clever, kind of a non-assuming driver. He really, one day he's going to burst through. It's coming, and it's coming pretty soon. And It could be tonight. I mean, he's got a fairly good starting spot for this race. Not a lot of cars, but like you said, he does. He puts a lot of effort doing it. He's very responsible for many of the setups that that team uses, and he puts in endless hours testing, and it's coming. It's right around the corner.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm pretty sure that he will be putting some hours in this week, and he'll be right up there come the main series next weekend. So
Oh yeah.
cars are gridding, ready for race 3.
Let's bring it on, guys.
Dave Jensen has connected and taken his pole position place.
Good for him. Glad to see him back.
The
Okay,
rims
getting
are
ready to go.
rising. And there,
Oh no, he just
false
jumped the
start by Dave.
He's gonna get a black flag. He's gonna have to do a stop and go.
Yeah, Adam Delmont making up places from the start.
And look at Andrew Hoffman bursting in there. Oh, Dave's off track.
Oh, Andrew's got a tank slapper on. He's going to come across the track, and he's taken out 2 Simability cars.
Uh-oh. One is Tony. Oh no.
Oh, he got all he got a strike. He got all 3.
Goodness.
Yeah, I think Andrew looked like he got a tank slapper on, hit the brakes hard, come back on track in front of 2 of the Simability cars, and the third Simability car was door banging with another car. So
Tony's car is injured pretty badly. Ah.
So I was just watching George McClay there. George closing in on Adam Delmont, who's behind Ronald Moons.
Tony Klusman's in the pits.
Yeah. Yeah, George, unfortunately, little bump on the back of Adam, but then quite sportingly offered to give him the place back, but Adam has refused. So, that's what we like to see.
So, Ronald Racing in Socks is in first at the moment.
Yeah, and as I am the founding and only member of the Ronald Moons Racing in Socks Appreciation Society, I couldn't be more happy in that. Dave Jansen has disconnected. I presume that was after his black flag at the start. These PSR boys haven't got a lot of stamina, have they?
Well, I'm glad I'm glad we didn't mic up Dave for this race, because we wouldn't have been able to air what he was saying.
Yeah, well, luckily we are aired after the watershed, so we get away with a little.
George is pushing Ronald Moons very
Yeah,
hard.
he is. He's going to have a go this time. Ronald needs to hang tough around the outside. Ooh, George is twitching under braking, so is Ronald. But George has made the pass.
Yeah,
So,
George's
where
car
is
looks
the
awful
flying
unstable.
Finn? 6th position.
Yeah.
Come on, Marco. We'll see what sort of a set you've got now, and I'm not talking about your car setup.
That's right. His car looks clean, even though he was involved in something.
Yeah, obviously we got George out front, so I think George might just run away with this now. Although he's still pushing, he's still sliding all over the place. Doesn't seem to be much grip out there. I don't know if there's anything Adam can do about it, but we'll see. From memory, I think although Adam doesn't have a lot of experience in the V8, he is quite a high I-rated driver.
Yeah, he drives in a lot of the British series. I think he, like MX-5 and British Tour, whatever they call their touring car series with the Kias. I believe he's in that as well, and I think he does some GT racing as well. So he's a very experienced driver.
Yeah, I agree with you, Bill. I think he, he does race in a lot of series. Obviously, he's new to us. I think I had a quick chat with him over his last week or the week before. He said he's really, really enjoying it. Obviously, he got into it through Adam McNally, another guy that I tend to watch a lot of the broadcasts on YouTube from the other series, and Adam McNally seems to be in everything. So
yeah, he is as well.
I think Adam dragged Adam into this, and I think Adam is getting more enjoyment than Adam out of it.
Yeah.
Pick the bones out of that one.
Well, you kept that very straight.
So, just having a look at Mr. Delmont's I rating, and he. Oh no, that's my I rating. I was going to say that's pretty shit, actually, but that's me.
1,836.
Ah, so he's not up there where I thought he was. I thought he was a 5,000 man.
Good. Well, with an I rating like that, he's done a little binning, so he's in the right series.
Most definitely.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you, he's keeping with George pretty well.
Yeah, I must admit, I expected George just to walk away, but he's not. He's, Adam's trying to stick with him, just over a second behind.
Yeah,
so you never know.
I'm sorry, we got Marco Nurmella closing in on Harold Stadler very closely, and Harold's in third, Marco's in fourth.
It's certainly getting dark out on track as well now, which for anybody that has driven in the dark, it does change things. It makes it harder to spot your braking points and that sort of thing. So there's always a mistake there for somebody.
Yep, can happen real easily. Marco's giving Harold Stadler fits right now. Coming onto the Gardner Straight.
I think there's a lot of drivers tonight probably sick of the sight of the back of Harold's car.
There he goes, he's making a move.
And Mr. Kloosterman is in the interview room. Shall we drag him in now?
Oh, sure, if you want to. Marco's going off track at turn Southern Loop.
So, joining us in the booth is Mr. Tony Kloosterman. Tony, what happened there?
I have no idea.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what happened. We seem to believe that Andrew Hoffman lost the rear of the car under braking, went off left onto the grass, and no fault of his own. It wasn't an unsafe rejoin or anything like that. He was in control of the car. Managed to wipe out both you and another Simmobility car as he slid back across the track.
Yeah, that was a great car. Yeah, it was unfortunate, wrong place, wrong time. Story of my life with.
Well, there was actually a bit of a strike going on there because at the same time that Andrew was taking you and Greg out, the other Simability car was door banging with somebody else and went off track. So all three of you were on the grass at the same time.
Oh, great. Yeah, well, I'm sure it made for some entertaining watching.
Hey,
Go on, Bill.
hey, Tony. I was pretty impressed seeing Greg sneak by you. Of course, you were very kind and you didn't shut him down, but he had a heck of a drive in that race, I'll tell you.
Yeah, that was a tough one. The second race there, very tough to get by without actually wrecking anyone. And I'll have a chat with Greg later for dooring me into turn one.
Well, I'll tell you, Clyde will agree that race, other than Marco Nemello sailing off into the sunset, you four guys was one heck of a battle. I'll tell you, it was wonderful.
Yeah, I'm sure it was interesting to watch. I think there was 1.5 of us within less than a second, I think. So
Yep,
I'm sure it was very entertaining.
it was. It was great. It was really great. And of course, you got your first win as you ran away with that first race as well. You got a great start, kind of pulled out from our new guy Marco pretty quickly, and you just sailed away.
Yeah, first race was good. And I think we had something in the last race as well, if we could have made more than one lap. But looking forward to next week, I think that we've got a pretty decent setup. And it looked to be that way this morning, anyways, especially over the 14 laps, which I suspect next week's race will be as well.
We were a little disappointed that the king of Phillip Island, Chris Jackson, was unable to be here. But of course, Logan's birthday's today, so we can't miss that. But too bad. But it was great to see the action in that both the first and the second race. It was really well.
Yeah, I think if Chris had raced today, that would have been his last race forever. So he was smart, and he was
Yep.
he's helping his wife prepare for Logan's birthday, and he's going to be 2 tomorrow. So
Yep.
that's a nice young age, and it's important for your parents to be around. So he's made the
Oh,
right
absolutely.
decision.
You are
This
absolutely
weekend,
correct.
we're going to let him off the hook.
You're absolutely correct. He did the right thing, but it was too bad because I know he does really. I mean, I don't know what makes this place so special to him, but he is really good here. I'll tell you.
Yeah, he certainly is. So we'll look forward to seeing how Chris does next weekend. I'll let you guys get back to the race. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks
Thank you,
for
Tony.
coming in, Tony.
So Tony Kloosterman there, unfortunately out of race 3 after the contact with Andrew Hoffman. So just been watching a nice battle between Ronald Moons and Gary Croft. Unfortunately, Mr. Racing in Socks has just disappeared off into the grass and basically given Gary the position.
That's too bad.
Up front, we've got George McClay stretching his lead now. It's up to 1.7 seconds over Adam Delmont, but Harold Stadler is now closing in on Adam, so that could get interesting very soon.
Yeah, Harold's pulled away from Marco. Unfortunately, Marco went off course and lost some time, but he's trying to claw back now. But he's over 4 seconds down at this point. Still got a lot of time to go, though.
Yeah, that's very true. We've still got over a quarter of the race to go. Just saying that Adams just lost it going into the corner and gifted the position to Harold. So
No,
it'll
that's
be
too
up
bad.
to Harold to chase down George now.
Yeah, and I don't think Harold will pay attention to team orders. If he gets up there, he's going to try to go by, no doubt. Well, it's really getting dark here now.
Yeah, it certainly is. I do love a good night race, though.
Oh yeah.
So we've not really got any close battles on the track unless Adam can do something about Harold or Marco can close in on Adam, which he doesn't seem to be doing at the moment. He took a 1/10 of a second out of him that lap. But Adam, I should say Adam hasn't given up on Harold and he's got on the grass. So that was nearly a commentator's curse. But that has gifted third position to our Flying Finn. Yeah, Adam seems to be really, really struggling at the moment. He doesn't seem to have any pace at all. Well, even though he gifted the position to Marco, Marco seems to be driving away from it.
Yeah.
Whether Marco's got anything at all for Harold, we'll have to wait and see. But at the moment, it's looking like a Fitzstye 1 and 2. So
Yes, it does.
Mr. Fitzpatrick will be happy.
You know, I think, Clyde, it's happened to all of us. I think Adam kind of got out of his rhythm there and, you know, has made a couple little boo-boos, which we've all done. And now, you know, you have a tendency to push too hard or brake too late or, you know how that goes. And I think that's what he's going through, right?
Yeah, most definitely. The tyre model on this car, it's still using the older tyre model. So, you get out of the groove, you burn the tyres up. And just when you're at that point where you need to do a couple of steady laps, you're angry with yourself for making a mistake. There's a car in front of you that you want to chase down and get a position back. The tyres are not giving you any grip, so you're just making them hotter, and it's a vicious circle.
Exactly. Yep, for sure. Did Marco make an accident? He's kind of down on time all of a sudden.
No, not really. He was a long way, from what I can see, he was a long way behind Adam. Adam made a mistake. Marco got in front of him, but
Okay.
he's slowly edging away from Adam, but he's not making any inroads on Harold, and Harold's not making any inroads on George. So the top three, barring any mistakes, catastrophes, look pretty set at the moment, with just a few minutes left in this race.
Yeah, I made an error. I was looking at the difference of time between Marco and Adam, and I thought it was Marco and Harold.
It's all right. We'll forgive you this once.
Oh, thank you. I was just kind of watching Harold drive, and Harold's not letting up on that puppy dog either. He's really every shift is up at the rev limiter and everything. He's really good. Copy.
Okay, so we're on board with Harold at the moment, just to see how. I was just say how wild his driving is, but Harold's usually he's quick, but very, predictable, safe, steady kind of driver. Okay, so it is really dark now, which is good. Not really much in the way of battles on track. Adam is a full second behind Barco now. Greg Carr maybe closing up on Ronald Moons. They're the last two cars running, excuse me, at the moment.
Well, riding with Harold, he's being very smooth. I take it back. It looks very, very nice and smooth and calm.
Yeah, he must have heard you, Bill.
Maybe.
So we're just waiting for Ted to tell us when we're on the last lap. So next time by, we will be on the final lap of the race and the night. George McClay currently 3.3 seconds out in front, with Marco Namella. I don't know if we're pronouncing that right, but I'm sure he will correct us if we're wrong. He's a further 4 seconds behind Harold. Now it looks like, as I said before, unless there's any disasters on the final lap, that will be our podium finishers. So a fairly good night for the regular season guys, and also a brilliant night for our new flying Finn, Bill.
Boy, most definitely. I was going to say, it's like he's been here forever. He's doing a great job.
Be very interesting to see A, if he's around for next week's race, and B, how he gets on when there's 25, 30 cars on the track. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Yep. Should be very interesting.
Greg has managed to close up on Ronald, but I don't think there's enough of the lap left for him to get past.
It's a little over half a second, unless Ronald really does a boo-boo. I don't think so. I was just riding with Adam Delmont. He's fighting the wheel. I'll tell you, wicked.
Yeah, I think Adam's in a fairly safe position, though. Greg is really putting the pressure on Ronald. It's going to be a drag race. Oh, and Greg's got past. Can he hold it? Yes, he can.
Looks like he's done it.
He certainly has. And that's it, folks. That's the end of race 3. So, although we didn't have many cars and the racing did get stretched out a bit, lap 1 was very eventful.
Yeah, it's always fun with the V8 Supercars. It's a hit or miss deal. You never know what's going to happen. All right, so race 3, the results are George McClay in first place. Good win for him. Harold Stadler, second place. Harold's had a very strong night tonight. Marco Nurmella, our new guy. What can I say? Podiums in all 3 races. Excellent job, Marco. Adam Delmont fell a little short in 4th, but drove very hard. Gary Croft in 5th. Could have done a better job probably if he didn't get mixed up in stuff. Same with Greg Carr in 6th. Ronald Moons, 7th. Greg Branch in 8th. Andrew Hoffman in 9th, both 8 laps down. Tony Klusterman, Dave Jansen, 10th and 11th. They were both 14 laps down. And Michael Frost, I don't believe, started. So that's the results for Sprint Race 3.
Excellent. Yes, so a fantastic evening of racing. Just waiting for the drivers to get themselves sorted out. We've got Mr. George McClay waiting in the interview room. So I think we will drag him in. So, Mr. McClay, whose mic is muted at the moment. But not anymore.
Can you hear me?
George, are you with us?
I'm with you.
So, Phillip Island, you had what, 2 second places and a first place, so great night for you. Before we talk about your races, I just want to ask you a quick question. Everybody seemed to be suffering with grip out there tonight. Race 1 was a cool track, race 2 was a hot track, race 3 was a cool track, but there just didn't seem to be any grip about it. Is that what you was finding as well?
No, I thought the grip was all right. What I was struggling on was my wheels know what to shift in gears. So for like fourth to third, third to second, I'm having to double click it and click it 3 times, and so like, basically when it came to the hairpins, I was just going around them in third gear, which I know I was losing time doing that, but it saved me if I kept on trying to keep clicking them. So it was a bit I got no bad results for the wheel being the way it is. But I think the first race was what, second. The second one was fifth, and then it was the win in the third.
So I take it tomorrow you'll be busy pulling things apart and seeing if you can fix.
I will be. I'll be looking for a solution. If I can't find a solution quick, I might have to look on the Fanatec website and see what I can order.
Well, good luck with that. I hope you get sorted for next week. So, just on the racing, George. Race 2 for us was absolutely fantastic. There was a group of 4 or 5 cars in there, and I think we said a couple of times in the broadcast that you guys could finish in any order or not finish at all because you could all take yourself out. Being in the middle of that pack and then at the back of that pack and then back in the middle of that pack, that's what this racing's all about, isn't it?
It was a good eventful. I wasn't too sure, but then I was thinking to myself at points, I was like, I reckon I could catch. I went to go down the inside, but then Harold kind of defended it, and I had to put on the brakes a bit harder and lost the back end, and then that's what put me at the back of the pack.
Yeah, we saw that. I think if you watch the broadcast back, at one point I said it looks like George is playing the good teammate and just protecting Harold. And then a few laps later, I then changed my mind and said, no, I think George is going to have a go at him because if he doesn't get past him now, he's got Tony Kloosterman pressuring him from behind and he's not going to be able to catch the guy in first place. So it was like you sort of switched tactics mid-race.
That's it. I wasn't too sure. I wasn't want to be too aggressive with Harold when being my teammate, so I was like, I was kind of trying to play the team game to start with, and then when I thought maybe if I get by Harold here, I could challenge for that win, but it didn't quite work out. But it was a great race. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and obviously the third race you got out in front and you drove away from everybody. So again, we all like to come and have race, a good race and racing with other cars. But when it's for the win, sometimes that's the easiest way to do it. Get out in front, get a gap, and stay there.
I know. I wish all the races was as easy as that, but. I actually, on the lap 1, actually made a wee touch to Adam Delmont in the race, so sorry about that, Adam. And then a couple of laps later, I let him by, and then I got by him again, a few corners later.
Yeah, we picked that one up on the broadcast as well, and said, that was very sporting of you. It is in the rule book that we like drivers to do that, and it's good to see when it happens on the track. So yeah, well done for that, George. Well done for your results tonight. Before we let you go and drag some more victims in, is there anybody you'd like to thank?
Well, just a thanks to you guys for doing the broadcast. I can't wait to watch it in the next half an hour or so, and thanks to the team for the setups and all the help that they gave us, and obviously Harold and that as well. who's a great addition to the team.
Yeah,
George?
get some beer and some popcorn and watch race 2 over and over again. It's fantastic.
Well do, guys.
George, before you go, just wanted to tell you, you had one whale of a night. You did a great job, and you're right on the edge of winning a lot of these races, and you sure showed it tonight, brother. Let me tell you, good job.
Thanks, Bill. Right, catch you later, guys.
Thank you, George.
See you, George.
Right, next I'll drag up Harold Stadler, and I'll leave him to Mr. Bill Switzer to interview.
Hello, Harold. Oh, Harold's got his mic muted. Unmute your mic, Harold.
Earth to Harold.
Harold, unmute your mic if you can hear us.
Okay, we'll leave Harold alone for a minute while he sorts out his push to talk button.
Okay.
And we will get our flying fin in, Mr. Marco Namella.
He's got a muted mic as well.
We're not having much luck tonight. Marco, can you hear us?
Marco, if you can hear us, unmute your mic, please. There we go. Marco, you with us? Marco, can you hear us?
Yeah, it's push to dark forced, so that's why it's hard.
Ah, okay. Welcome to the booth and welcome to the league. Well, I'll tell you, for a new guy, you're very impressive. This isn't your first rodeo. You've driven a lot of cars, I can tell. But of course, you're from Finland, and all the Finland guys are fast. We found that out. So, did you enjoy yourself?
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, I've been on iRacing like a year and a half now, so I got some experience on the cars.
I guess you do. You did an excellent job. I'll tell you, we in the booth really enjoyed race 2 probably better than anything. You were so far out in front, you probably couldn't enjoy it. But race 2, the 4 or 5 guys behind you, it was like a battle all the way. It could have gone any way. But an impressive first night for you, and we're hoping you come back and enjoy some more. We're looking forward to seeing you next weekend. You certainly did a great job. And I'm going to let you talk to Clyde Whiting a little bit and see what he has to say. But again, nice performance. Glad to have you, and hope to see you again.
Thanks.
So, Marco, not many cars on the track tonight, but still a very impressive debut in the Sprint Series. The car is, I don't know, I'm presuming from the conversation we had, you've not had a lot of experience and a lot of laps in the car. The car does try and kill you every time you do anything in it. But how did you find it in your first competitive races?
Yeah, I just tried to keep the car on track. I was trying to take it safe. Except on race 3, I was trying to push, and then I just lost all my markers on turn 2, like outside going, trying to overtake. But yeah.
Yeah, well, you seem to handle the car, very well. Obviously, race 1. You had, shall we say, a bit of a dodgy start in your first ever competitive start. Put the car on pole, but then couldn't get it off the line. But you stayed with Tony Kloosterman, who's been with us from the start. We've been running for 3.5 years now. And I think Tony was running solely in the V8s for at least a couple of years before that. So, that must give you a lot of confidence. I'm presuming that you're going to be taking part in the main series next week, same track. And if you are, like I say, that must give you confidence that you can run with the fast guys in this series.
Yeah, the most impressive thing was I could keep the car on track the full stint, so that was the goal. And having like semi-consistent lap times, that was my only goal. I didn't look for any results. the pole lap was just a magical lap. I didn't have any clue how I did that. And yeah, the start, I have never started with the car. I know it needs a little bit revs, but I went too low, and the next race too, I went too high. But the third start was pretty good.
So you're obviously a quick learner then. So before we let you go, Marco, again, congratulations from me. It's not, the results were good, even though there wasn't many cars on the grid. But you proved you've got raw talent and raw pace. So I'm looking forward to you racing with us for as long as you possibly can. And once you get some more seat time in the car, I personally believe that you'll be right up there. So before we let you go, anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, Racecraft Esports, my team, and of course Victor Tanaka helped me a lot getting to know the car and track and how to just drive the thing. So yeah, and thanks to you guys streaming and yeah.
Okay, Marco. Well, I will, just before I let you go, I will let you know that we're going to edit out the thanking Victor Tanaka bit, because we don't do any thanks for Victor in V8 ESC. But thanks for coming in for an interview. Thanks for joining the league, and congratulations on your results.
Thank you.
Well done, Marco.
Okay, last and not least, we will get Mr. Harold Stadler in, who knows how to work his microphone now, allegedly.
It's muted. Harold!
Harold!
Hello!
He's there!
Always this trouble in this channel. I don't know.
I'm glad you can drive the car better than working this, Harold.
Of course, yeah, me too.
So, Harold, a successful night for you again in the sprint series. We were, I'm sure you'll watch the broadcast back, we were noting that you had a very, very, very wide Holden tonight.
At least in the second race, yes. But it wasn't not always on purpose. I messed up the tire pressures a little bit, and for example, in the before the first hairpin, the kart was drifting to the right anyway. So I thought, it's going to the right, so let's defend. But yeah, it was very wide, I have to admit.
Yeah, we see in race one, I can't remember who it was you was defending from, but you was placing your car in all the right places, and this is one of those tracks that it is very, very difficult to overtake when you've got a driver doing what you was doing, which is obviously perfectly legal. And then was it the last lap your defense ended and they got past you, I believe?
Yeah, I got damage on the front left earlier in the race, and I was slow on the straights anyway. And I can't remember who it was, who I defended off, but he was just too close in that second to last lap, or entering the last lap, and just had run on the straight, so there was no way to defend, and defending made no sense. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Adam Delmont that pipped you over the line, and then race two for us was by far the best race. There was a group of 4 cars and then 5 cars and then 4 cars, and you were swapping positions and defending, and it was just fantastic to watch. And then it all sorted itself out as you all came across the line. But from a driver's point of view, that's a fantastic race. Being in that battle with, all those drivers around you, you're all sort of equal paced, and one person makes a mistake, they lose 4 positions. It must certainly make you sweat when you're in them sort of situations.
Yeah, of course, I sweat a lot in that race. Obviously, I was the slowest of all the guys. I think I was holding them up, and it was one time it was a little bit too close with my teammate George. I saw him coming and tried to move to the left to give him room, but it was a little bit too late. He was sliding to the grass. So happily, nothing bad happened in that situation. I think he lost the place or so, but that was kind of hard work, but also a lot of fun because driving overall was fair. Even the small bumps from Tony were totally okay. Everything's fine. That was a lot of fun and a lot of fair racing, I think.
Yeah, the racing was fantastic. Obviously with your damage in race 1, I think you come home in 5th, but then you rallied for race 2 and race 3 with a couple of runner-up positions. Race 3 was a little bit easier, shall we say, with a Fitzstye 1-2, and then Marco was quite a way behind you in 3rd. So. Normally race 3 is the hectic one, but that seemed to be the more calm race of the evening.
Yes, somehow that was the calmest of the weekend, and I don't know. Marco was pressuring in race 3 a lot, but finally made a mistake. He missed the brake marker in turn 2. I think, yeah. And I was also a little bit late on the brakes, and I thought I pushed him out, but he already said it wasn't me. He went off on his own, so I'm glad I did not push him out. But from then on, I don't know exactly what happened behind me because after Marco was gone, there was a gap of I think 5 seconds or so, and it was again Marco still in behind. So I have to see the broadcast or the replay to see what happened in race 3, why we were alone in front.
Yeah, I think Adam was trying to chase you down and made a mistake and then lost a position to Marco, but by that time they were so far behind they were never going to catch it back. But like I say, overall, for you personally, good night, 5th and 2 seconds. So, Bill, anything you want to add with Harold?
Yeah, I think you drove brilliantly, Harold. You said you were the slowest guy. I don't agree with you there. That pack of 5 cars looked pretty much like anything could have happened, and I don't think you were really holding them up either. If you were doing tremendous defending. Probably the best. I mean, you were in the right position most of the night. I'll tell you, I was amazed how hard you fought your teammate, but hats off to you. You did a great job tonight, and congratulations. I hope you have a great weekend next weekend.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, okay, it's the sprint series. Why not fighting with the teammate for once? Maybe I will be next week a little bit gentle, more gentle to him if there's the same situation again, because he is higher in the main series standings.
Yeah.
But today it was like, let's try and think or let's look what will happen. And he thought it was fun for him too. So okay.
And that's what we're all here for, isn't it? A bit of fun.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you, Harold. I think it made the racing exciting, and you did nothing wrong by any means, but it was really, you drove excellent. I'll tell you had a great night, and looking forward to seeing what you can do over the weekend, next weekend.
Yeah, thank you, and see you next week.
And before we let you go, Harold, anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, of course. Fitzstyle Motorsports for taking me on board this season. Eski Stern, the club I'm also in here in Germany. We had a really cool night on Thursday. I posted the pictures you saw maybe with sim racing, and yeah, of course, you guys for broadcasting and taking me for the interview.
Yeah, we did see. I did see those pictures. They look pretty interesting. Thanks for posting them. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and thanks for coming in for an interview, Harold. That's much appreciated. So we'll let you go now, and we'll endeavour to wrap the show up.
See you next week. Goodbye.
See you, Harold.
Okay, so 3 races, 3 different winners, one new winner again, which is good. From the I don't know why I keep calling him the Flying Finn, but it's going to stick now. So overall, Bill, good night of racing, and I think it shows just how difficult next weekend is going to be for gaining positions.
Yep, it ought to be very interesting, and I'm certainly not sad about tonight. I thought it was very exciting. Race 3 was a little bit, if we hadn't had the little mix-up on the first lap, could have been better, but that's the way it goes sometimes. But all in all, really excellent night, and it was certainly a pleasure to be here.
Excellent. And Ted, anything you'd like to add? We'll let you talk as it's the end.
I'm allowed to talk. Okay. No, you said everything. It was a really good night of racing. Harold was very impressive, I think. He showed a lot of improvement this season. Maybe he will catch the faster car next one, and maybe fight for the championship, I think.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you, to be honest. So we shall wrap up the show now. Next week we have the main series, again from Phillip Island, when we'll have some more cars on the grid, hopefully. I'd like to thank Sam and Bill for being with me tonight. I enjoy spending my Saturday evenings with them. I'd like to thank Racetech for sponsoring the series, and to the drivers that make the series possible. And on that note, I am going to get myself another cider and enjoy the rest of the evening. Good night, everybody.